Hey everybody, welcome back to another film of the week. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Excuse me, I was just starting to record and I was anticipating that whole, the camera cutting off when I turn on my car sort of deal. It just happened just when I started recording. I was just anticipating it, so I was waiting for the right time. Just missed it by a second, so thankfully I didn't get too far into this review to start over for that thing to happen. But I'll have to pick up my brother once again, and I figured to talk about something of a guilty pleasure, kind of giving my thoughts away, I guess, ahead of time. As we're planning on, me and my brother actually are planning to go see the Garfield movie this weekend. There's an early screening, and we're planning on checking it out this Sunday. So in anticipation for that incarnation of the orange cat, I figured to revisit a earlier adaptation, an attempt, we must say, of the comic strip of Garfield himself. That being the first live-action adaptation, just simply titled Garfield, which was released in 2004, I believe, and directed by Peter Hewitts, who did a film called The Borrowers with John Goodman. I have no idea what that's about, never heard of it, but starring Bill Murray as the cynical cat, and as I said, is a live-action interpretation of that comic strip, and it follows Garfield and John Arbuckle, his owner, and Garfield's living his life. It's just kind of a single pet living his life inside and outside the house, and a new person comes to the place, that being Odie, a dog, and they try to get along. Garfield doesn't really like him, and eventually, or slowly but surely, they start to see the value in each other, mainly Garfield, in the company of Odie, and perhaps that cynicism that he possesses starts to turn into some form of optimism and some form of open-mindedness, we shall say. But my description of the film is giving absolutely more merit than to the actual film itself, because, as I said up front, this is a guilty pleasure, because when I was growing up, one of the few things that I got into very much so was actually Garfield. Some of my actual cynicism, just my nature itself, might be predicated from watching those cartoons. I was privy to all things Garfield, the movies, this one in particular, the cartoons, the early cartoons. Never got into the actual comic strips from newspaper articles. Never actually got around to looking at those, but got into other animated stuff from Garfield, later cartoons. I was very much into Garfield because of his attitude. I was very inspired by, very influenced by that cynical nature that he possesses, which is the key ingredient to Garfield, plus lasagna, obviously. But the key ingredient, the key aspect to getting Garfield correct is his cynicism, is his just demeanor. That's the entire approach to Garfield as a character. So having Bill Murray as Garfield is not completely out of the question. That seems actually quite a fit, and it does fit. The voice of Garfield, that of Bill Murray's, fits. It fits pretty well for the character of Garfield. The funny thing about the original film, as some people may know, is that Bill Murray himself actually had no idea that he was working on Garfield with these specific directors. When he signed on, he thought he was actually working with the Coen brothers, because I believe that the script was written by a guy named Ethan Coen, but it was a different person. So he got the people mixed up, and he thought he was working on a Coen brothers film, but actually he wasn't. He was working with someone completely different. And the look of Garfield is not terrible. CGI wise, it's not bad. I'm thinking of 2004. So this is the time of that live action Scooby-Doo as well. So it could have been worse. So for what it was in 2004 and just on its own, it's fine. But it is a it is a pretty stereotypical kids film. I mean, just by its nature, by its overall just feel, it doesn't have the spirit of Garfield. Bill Murray is pretty much bringing that spirit in just his voice and his delivery. It is that of Garfield, someone that is just careless, someone who just doesn't really feel all that much. It's just more or less his mojo, his feel, his spirit, his whatever, whatever he feels like doing, essentially. Cynicism kind of invites that of laziness at the same time. So it's that's the whole point of Garfield, and the film itself may not be representative of it, but Bill Murray is bringing something to it, even if he looks down on those films. I think that he fit the overall voice, the overall delivery in voice for Garfield, but the film itself isn't delivering that same feeling. It's just your typical kids film, and it's not offensive. It's not annoying. Because I even with guilty pleasures, I say guilty pleasure because I know that if I didn't see it at the time when I did. I was a little boy when I saw the film. I know that I probably would have a very different response to it. But as how I feel with it, and just by memory of it, and by the wave of its tone, and generally just its sensibilities, it's harmless. It's not anything to cry home about. It's not anything that will annoy you. It's not anything offensive. It doesn't take liberties with the source material. It does sort of try to play in the spirit of what Garfield is, but mainly that is to do with what Bill Murray is delivering in overall voice, and less to do with the sensibilities of the film itself. So it's disposable, it's harmless, it's not anything that will kill you or annoy you. I think that it's okay. So I'm curious to see how this new one stacks up, and by overall spirit and mentality, how it stacks up. If it actually will have more of a spirit to that original comic strip and that original little cartoon. Because Chris Pratt doesn't sound too bad as Garfield, actually. From what I've heard from the trailers, he doesn't sound too bad. But from memory of the original live action interpretation, it's not bad. I mean, yes, it could be boring at times, definitely boring, especially when we're not having to see the CGI element at play, and it's just the humans interacting. Yes, it could be very boring. The acting could be very stale. Like, there are many, many issues with it. There's many issues with it that I acknowledge, but as I said, it's a guilty pleasure for me. So ultimately, I lean on the opinion of it being just okay, but I won't take it any further than that. So, but yeah, it's completely harmless. It's disposable. It's not something that I feel has a like how certain films are just an anger that boils in you, and I think to some people they have said that sentiment in regards to Garfield, but I don't. I think it just has a lot to do with when I saw it, and it's okay. There's no other word for it. It's just okay, and I acknowledge that having seen it when I seen it is giving it more merit. But it is what it is. It's just when I saw it, and it's just how I feel. So I can't change how I feel. But I know that if I saw it at a different time, my opinion probably would be very, very different. But currently, it's okay. So yeah. So those are my thoughts on Garfield. It's fine. It's harmless. I think it's perfectly fine for kids. Nothing to my memory offensive or just odd, no perverted jokes or anything crazy like that. It's okay. It's fine. I think Bill Murray did a decent job, even though like I've said before, he looks down on those films. I think he actually was a good fit. It's just, with the material that he was given, he doesn't get to do too much. But for what he brought, it was good. because it doesn't take too much to get Garfield right. You just pretty much have to be a cynic. You know, as long as your mentality, your vocal delivery is that of cynicism, that of just dour and just careless kind of, you know, it's Garfield. So, but and to my memory, he did a decent job. So, but you guys know your thoughts on Garfield, if you guys have seen it, the original Garfield, and if you guys have seen the new Garfield film. I know that it's out in foreign markets. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.